点凉。
Italian-American Michael Fonte speaks one of Taiwan's native languages. He's fluent in Taiwanese Taigi, known by some as Holoe.
That's me studying Holoe, 1967, in Taitung, Samin Law.
Fonte learned it working as a Roman Catholic missionary in central Taiwan back in the 1960s. From those beginnings, Fonte would go on to become a prominent figure in Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party. He's good friends with former President Tsai Ing-wen and current Vice President Kim Liao.
She's really a very warm person. You might not see that in action unless you got to know her well. So I consider her a real friend. I think she considers me a friend as well.
His house is decorated with honors and letters given to him by President Lai Ching-te and former Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. But Fonte's name doesn't make headlines in Taiwan because he's mostly been in the United States, working for the DPP in Washington, D.C. How did Fonte land that job? Well, he left Taiwan in 1970 after realizing that the social justice work he wanted to do just wasn't viable under Taiwan's authoritarian government at the time, which had imposed martial law.
I mean, one of my problems that I had when I was there was that the Roman Catholic hierarchy was not willing to see us do anything that would upset the government. Okay, Lao Deng.
Fonte then pursued an Asian Studies degree at the University of Michigan, where he met leading Taiwanese democracy activists Peng Mingmin and Lin Zhongyi.
This one I really treasure because the woman I mentioned to you, who was Lin Zhongyi's daughter, Hyokbun, gave it to me.
Taiwanese Taigi was at the time perceived as the language of the dissident community, and Fonte's proficiency helped him become a conduit for democracy activist exiles in the U.S.
I know it was considered a bit of an irritant that we were studying Taiwanese, we were speaking Taiwanese, still an awful lot of nervousness on the KMT side about these people going to rise up.
Here we go. This is our...
After a few years in California, Fonte reconnected with Peng Mingmin in Washington in 1986, the same year the DPP was officially founded. Shortly thereafter, U.S. NGO, the National Democratic Institute, invited the party to Washington.
So Peng said to me, go be their gopher, take them around. So I did that, and I got to know all the founders. That's where I met Choi Ren, all the other people, Saujin Zhong, people like that.
Cho and Su, leading DPP figures who went on to take government positions in the 2000s, helping the party expand its presence abroad.
I worked for 10 years as a consultant with Xiao Kim and Choi Ren. There was a DPP mission here from 1995 to 2000. Kim was actually in charge of it for a while.
And when the DPP reopened its U.S. mission in 2013, the party tapped Fonte as the office's director. Kim Liao, now the country's vice president, had gone on to become a legislator in Taiwan, and Fonte was a staunch friend of the party.
I speak English. I know the Washington scene fairly well. I've got my degree in Asian studies, whatever the hell. It all worked together to make me a viable candidate at that point.
Fonte was the perfect go-between for the DPP and U.S. policymakers.
Our job is to be as honest as we can with the DPP about what we're hearing here about policy from a variety of sources, mostly from the government in power here, but also the opposition as well.
Fonte has since passed the torch as DPP's Washington director, but his love for Taiwan is still very much a part of him.
I'm Italian-American, and when I got to Taiwan, I realized family, food, and friends, right? It's the same for Taiwanese, it's the same for Italians. So it's very easy to feel part of that culture and make a lot of good friends.
From Brooklyn, New York, to the farms of central Taiwan, to Washington, D.C., Michael Fonte probably never imagined that his early years as a missionary would spark a career in politics. And the Democratic Progressive Party probably never thought that one of its biggest overseas champions would be an Italian-American fluent in Taigi. Lien, Laurel, Stewart, and Leslie Liao in Washington, D.C. for TaiwanPlus.